7th of March. Welcome everybody. As we have spoken in the previous session, in the past session, today we have a special guest from USA, directly from the great state of Florida, Sam Conner, founder of Stellar Global. Thanks a lot, Sam, to stay with us.
Hey, man. Look, thank you so much for reaching out to me, Eugenio. I'm excited to meet the entire Italian family. The Stellar family has been growing really strong over the years, and I just feel like we're just getting started. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for reaching out to me.
Exactly. You are exciting. I am terrorized. I have a terror in my body because... Please, in case of my lexical default, please don't hesitate to give me an help. Anyway, by the way.
But listen, man, it's my first time on the other side of the microphone, so I might be a little bit more nervous. I'm usually giving the interviews.
Really, I think it will be a super and special, also social experiment for me, because it's first time in my life I will manage a live session totally in English with a guest from abroad. So I hope all things will be fine. In any case, in advance, I apologize with the participants for my bad and broken English, but I will do my best to interact, to enhance with you in all the main key point related to Stellar and XLM lumens.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We have prepared a synthetic slideshow to help all the participants having a lean and clear representation of the main key point we will discuss together, Sam and me, during this live session of 60 minutes. And let me also say a few words about Chang, because some person during this week has written me asking for what is Chang, how your company invests in digital asset. Well, as you can see, Chang is the first and main venture capital joint stock company in Italy, investing in digital assets as institutional investor. We are more or less 100 stockholders. The majority of them are Italian citizens living in the region of the north of Italy. We have started investing digital assets during the crypto winter in 2018. And obviously, we strongly believe in Stellar and in Lumens XLM, considering that we have a huge stake in this extraordinary, amazing digital asset. Now, just to give an idea of our investment strategy, imagine our asset allocation like our solar system. So this screenshot represents enough clearly the thing how they are. We have in our solar system a star, which is the sun, the main part of the solar system, of our solar system, and around it a lot of planets. Some are large, some are small, and each planet, almost each planet, has also a private satellite. For this reason, you can consider that our asset allocation is based on 3 pillars. The first pillar, the core pillar, is really like the sun. It has been conceived for allocation with a long-term view, from a minimum of 50 up to a maximum of 60% of asset under management. Then the second one, the satellite pillar, exactly like Jupiter or Mars. So a part of the corporate allocation digital asset with a mid-term view, from a minimum of 20 up to a maximum of 30% of asset under management. And at the end, the third one, the ancillary pillar, exactly like the moon. So the private satellite of our planet Earth, in which there are allocation with a short-term view, generally 10 to a maximum, up to a maximum of 20% of the asset under management. Just to give some other ideas of the main differences between these 3 pillars, imagine that in the core pillar, we generally put digital asset that we choose with a buy and hold strategy. So this means that we buy a specific digital asset, a specific crypto asset, and segregate this asset for a long-term period, generally 2-3 years. This is our expectation. This is our goal. And to the opposite, the ancillary pillar, instead, we put inside this particular part of the corporate allocation only cryptocurrency or digital asset which are hot in the market at the moment for market news or something like that. So, just to give you an example, an idea, in the core pillar, you obviously can find Stellar, like Cardano and something like that. While in the ancillary pillar, you can find at the moment cryptocurrency like Nexo, Zilliqa, or Near protocol and something like that. In this case, we maintain the the position invested in this digital asset only for really short term. This means 3-4 weeks, not generally 3-4 weeks. Well, now I think I think Euchain is enough. We have say enough things about Euchain. Now, Sam, it's your time. This is the beginning of the Q&A time with you. So, question and time.
Sounds good.
For the Italian supporter community, Sam is a point man for the entire stellar family in the world. So please, Sam, tell us what is Stellar Global. Help us to understand your enterprise and your role inside the Stellar family. Back to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the introduction, man. I almost felt like running in with some music. So to give some background, I got involved into the Stellar community. I want to say heavily around 2019. I'll take you back a little further. I've been involved in and exposed to blockchain and cryptocurrencies since about 2014. My background is business, investing, real estate. I've been doing that for over 20 years. When I saw what Stellar was doing, it really motivated me to do more than just simply hold the token. I get asked it all the time. Why do you spend so much time doing this? Why are you, I don't work for SDF or anything else like that. But the reason why I'm so passionate about Stellar is because I see that there's a huge business opportunity. The way that Stellar is set up is to connect people all over the globe, to connect currencies, which allow for folks to, if you're a merchant, if you're selling stuff out of your house, you can connect easily across the globe. For securities to be listed on Stellar blockchain very easily. This has enormous opportunities for everyday folks to increase their net worth, have access to things that they didn't have access to prior without extreme amounts of oversight and cost. So back in 2019, early 2019, I actually got to meet Jed and some of the members of SDF and really got to see them face to face and get an understanding of who they were and what their plans were. After I met with them, I was convinced that they were very serious about their goals and about their intentions. Later on that year, leading up to Meridian 2019, is when I reached out and said, hey, look, I reached out to some of the other community members. At the time, we were there, but we're kind of scattered at the time. I reached out to one of our members out in Korea, which one of the first contacts was Jay with Stellar Korea. I also got connected with the Turkey community. Jay actually connected me. He recommended the Turkey community. And I got to meet Emir and some of the other folks there. And from there, that year launched Stellar Global. And the goal of Stellar Global is, once again, this is an investment show. Everybody definitely, there's one aspect of it, right? You can buy a token and hold it. What Stellar Global is about, and where I see the real gem of Stellar, is to go beyond just holding a token and get involved in the creation of a new financial world.
Awesome, really awesome. In fact, I have several times tried to speak with some fellows, some asset manager here in Italy or also in Europe, or even professional traders, and the majority of them at the moment has misunderstand what is really Stellar, and they have no idea between the differences, the main difference between the Stellar network and the Lumens XLMs, or else the native digital token of the blockchain. In the next screenshot, we can make a focus, a proper focus in these differences. But to use simple words to give an idea of all the participants, we can assume, we can tell that at the moment, Stellar is a sort of global payment network.
Correct.
This is the main goal, not consider only Lumens like a simple digital asset or a simple cryptocurrency for micropayment. This
and let me say this too. I think the easiest way to really try to understand what Stellar is building, okay? So you have, let's say the way that that email works, okay? If I have Hotmail and you have Gmail, there's no permission that has to happen. I simply send you a PDF form. I send you the email. You're able to get it. You can send it to anybody. You know, if you wanted to send an email to someone that works at the Paragon or at the White House, it's done the same exact way. Everybody's using the same SMTP protocol. Okay,
Exactly.
they're using the same exact thing. Money does not work that way. Okay, you know, I don't want to misquote the companies, but I want to say PayPal and Venmo, for instance, are owned by the same corporation. Okay, however, if I wanted to go from PayPal and send you something to Venmo, I can't do that, right? If I have PayPal and you have Cash App, I can't just simply send it to your Cash App address and it moves seamlessly. The way that it's set up right now is very, very isolated, a lot of silos. What Stellar is building here is bringing on assets, bringing on currencies, so that way we can have an SMTP, for instance, of value. And we're not just talking about currencies. We're talking about real estate, gold, precious metals, anything else.
Exactly. I try to simplify the issue for the Italian community. We have to consider that Stellar as a global payment network that permits to create a digital representation of any fiat currency in the world and send it with high speed and low fees. That's all. And the main important things to remember is lumens or XLM is the fuel of this global payment network.
Correct.
I have many times spoken with Italian asset manager or professional trader, and when I have asked them which is the strategic weight of your asset allocation for Stellar, we don't invest in Stellar. What? Why you don't invest in Stellar? You are a digital asset manager. Well, I try to explain why. For us, Stellar is more or less a competitor of Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Ripple. So it's a cryptocurrency just to use when you need to make an instant micropayment. Absolutely, this is
not it.
A misunderstanding. You are way off. You are way off. Stellar is at the moment a growing ecosystem, growing global ecosystem in the world, connecting wallets, exchange, fintech companies, focusing on development, cross-border payment with high speed and low fees. That's all. And the fuel, what do you need to power this network is XLM. We have to start thinking of XLM as exactly Ether is for Ethereum blockchain. So Lumens powers Stellar network as Ether powers Ethereum blockchain, and that's all.
Yeah, and
which is your opinion, your idea about this, Sam?
Yeah, I completely agree. So Lumens, they first of all, there's very small transaction fee. It's very small transaction fee that's designed to be cheap, but that's to create like a little bit of friction for spam, right? So also every single account that's created, I'm getting a little feedback. So every account has, let's say it needs a couple lumens when you set that up. So that's another thing. To me, though, I think that, where we'll see the lumens have a lot more desire and use is when we start to see a lot of assets come onto the network. So for those that are listening, let's say when the first exchanges were created, right? One of the first exchanges were created. What did everybody have to buy in order to trade to different assets? Everybody bought Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin was the most liquid asset to trade.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
The first time that my first buying of Bitcoin was never really to hodl Bitcoin. It was to get into Ethereum or get into Litecoin or whatever the asset was at the time. Okay. So now going back to what you were saying, imagine now we have a system where you have real estate, gold, you have other cryptocurrencies, you have a Forex market that's going on at the same exact time. Okay. Now you can trade with different pairs, USDC, we're going to talk about later on, or another currency, but you also have the option to go in between of different assets through XLM. It's going to be the most fluid asset on the network. And so in many ways, I mean, Bitcoin is, Stellar could be like the Bitcoin, so to speak, of XLM could be the Bitcoin of the Stellar network is what I'm saying. That's where I see that kind of core. And it's going to take a long time to get to that point. But once we get to that point, I think that we'll see a lot more use of the XLM. So
moving ahead, moving on, this could be one of the main important evolution in the market, in the crypto market in the next years, giving the opportunity to boost Stellar and XLM. In particular, the esports, the future of esports, because the gamers, the professional gamers, needs something to use when they need to buy in few seconds some digital weapon, some digital wearable, some digital features for their avatars inside each gaming platform. And at the moment, the only cryptocurrency in the world, or crypto, eventually we can also use this word, which is probably better, crypto utility. We have to consider XLM or Lumens as a crypto utility for buying or selling wearables or stuff, like digital stuff for their avatar inside each gaming platform. I have watched your interview, Sam, in your YouTube personal channel, showing a competition in Lightmint.
Yeah, shout out to Lightmint. Yeah.
I think it's important for us as Italian if you can tell something about Lightmint and the minting the opportunity of minting using Stellar network instead of Ethereum blockchain.
Well, I mean, I'll start off with let me start off with Lightmint. So I think Lightmint is a huge potential groundbreaking company that is showcasing the future of gaming. I mean, so gaming right now is looking to be I think in the next 4 years, they're expecting it to be over $250 billion. And in my opinion, they're underestimating this. I think that game is going to be way bigger than that. Especially, when you look at the pandemic and the way the pandemic has brought a lot more people at home. Folks want to socialize, and gaming is the way of socializing. I have 2 boys, right? They've been home, because of the whole pandemic.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's amazing. They're not missing anything. You would think that they would be so lonely and so isolated. They talk with their friends all the time. They have friends all over the world. And in real time, they are playing games and communicating. So when I look at that and I start noticing, okay, they have all these different games that they play, right? Each game has its own set of rewards, its own set of tokens, etc. The problem is that let's say you're playing Fortnite. You build up all this stuff on Fortnite. If you decide you don't want to play anymore, there's nothing you can do about it. Or let's say, for instance, you have another game. Apex is another game they play a lot, right? So, but you're spending money that way. So, off the base, what Stellar is allowing very quickly, and Lightman is showing this, is that you can earn, as you start to earn tokens, rewards within a game, it's no longer trapped to that one game. You now have the ability to trade it with other people, sell what you've earned, sell cards that you've had, and interact from person to person or console to console. And I think that, just like gaming had started off with simply cartridges and it evolved quickly to streaming context, I think that the next evolution is going to be freeing up the tokens and the NFTs that are created in these games and transferring. Now, going to the reason, why Stellar is so much better than Ethereum. Ethereum's not set up for this. Ethereum gas fees are very high right now. Now, they're working on some other improvements, but understand
moreover, Ethereum is enough slow.
It's much slower and it's a lot more expensive. And it's not really set up for the same sort of framework. And Stellar is very agile. It's very simple code base. It's very versatile. And so Stellar is just best positioned for the gaming world. And I think that we're going to see more and more of this. It's only a matter of time before Lightman truly catches on. And the big players out there want to get into the action. Trust me.
Sure. For this, I suggest all the participants of this live show, financial show, investment show, to give a look at the YouTube personal channel of Sam, because you can find a lot of interviews with VIP of Stellar Development Foundation. So this means that Sam has had the opportunity to make a specified interview for instance, I have watched the one with Danielle Dixon, which is the CEO of Stellar Development Foundation. There is no one in Italy, or I think also in Europe, who has had this opportunity. Moreover, going ahead, we can also find some interviews that you have made in relationship to the critical and potential growth of esports and gaming in the next years. And obviously, this will be a sort of fuel for all the stellar global environment, global ecosystem.
Yes.
Let's have a view to the third topic question, and this is like open the Pandora's box. because
let's talk about it.
Because obviously many traders, professional traders, but also retail small investors at the moment are pretty bitter for the price action of Lumens or XLM. In fact, if we have a look to the other main digital asset, for instance, IoT, Cardano, also even Litecoin, we have seen a robust growth. We have seen a boost in the price. But in case of Stellar, this at the moment has to happen. We wait for this. This will happen soon. In your opinion, by your point of view, Sam, do you think that this fragile momentum for the price action of XLM is due to the concern of Ripple with SEC?
Yeah, thanks for bringing this up. So it's a complicated story. So let's look at it from a whole perspective, right? So the SEC filed against Ripple on December 22nd. Okay, because I think it's important to talk about the Ripple Stellar misinformation out there. So let's handle that first, right? So the SEC filed against Ripple in December 22nd. Okay, the price of XLM at that time was 16 cents. Okay, someone you could double check that. Today, it's around 40 cents. Okay, that's an increase of 150%. Okay, now XRP December 22nd was at 44 cents. Right now, before coming on the show, it was at 46 cents. That's 4.5% return. Okay, so they're not performing the same. Okay, they're not performing the same. They a lot of times people want to connect their performances, but it's just not accurate. So now let's look at the what where Stellar is, and like you mentioned some of these other tokens. I think for one, people have to look at Stellar differently. You can't really compare apples to apples with all these different tokens. There's different focuses. There's different supplies. There's different focuses. One thing that Stellar has never done, even so now, is walk out and start hyping up what their token is. So let's kind of go back a few years, right? When I first started getting involved in crypto, or let's say crypto Twitter, not crypto. I was in crypto earlier, and then I got introduced to crypto Twitter. At the time, we had what was called the XRP army. Okay, now I just sat there and watched, but there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of attacks against Stellar. They said that Stellar was a clone of Ripple. This is 1,000% not true. Okay, there were beyond Jed, there were over a dozen or more different very high qualified developers from Stanford, I think, to UCLA, that worked on the Stellar code, built it literally from the ground up. This is a completely unique code. Okay, now up until about 2019, it was mainly developing that's been going on on the Stellar network, making sure that this thing works. You mentioned that I had an opportunity to speak with a lot of creators and owners of projects on Stellar. So you got to understand that a lot of these folks that I got to talk to have been building on Stellar since the beginning. And the one thing that I hear from all of them is that Jed's main concern is to make sure that he creates something that works. Okay, that was his main concern. Not hyping a token, not hyping the newest thing. It's like, listen, can we really change the world? Yes, not hyping. Okay, there was no XLM army. Okay, it was simply it was, let's build it. So in 2019, when I met a lot of the people at SDF, he had just started to bring on a team, and it was, I think, maybe like 12 people. That's 2019. Now they started in 2015. Okay, he started to bring on a team around 2019. Okay, that year he brought on Donnell Dixon. Okay, that was like May of that year. So This is not that long ago. Okay, Danelle Dixon. Danelle Dixon was brought in 2019. Now, let me share a little bit about Danelle and who she is. She worked at Mozilla, okay? And she started there at 2012. When she worked at Mozilla, she was a general counsel before moving into their chief business and legal officer and then COO, okay? When she was there, and I did my research, I checked her credentials. She was responsible for assembling a fantastic team of legal and business and policy experts. So understand this. He brought in somebody who has a legal background. Prior to that, I want to say she did legal counsel for Yahoo. Okay, at Yahoo, she worked in legal and I think the Supreme Court. I want to say out in Hawaii. Okay, so sharp person. Okay,
if you have a look to explaining the thing to the Italian community, if you have a look to the professional background of Danielle Dixon, is amazing, astonishing.
Amazing. And listen, and so who did she hire next? Right, this is 2019 towards the end of 2019. Right, she then hired Candace Kelly. Who is Candace Kelly? Candace Kelly is Stellar's general counsel. Okay. I wrote some notes. She was a consultant for the government investigation for Uber. Okay, she worked there. Prior to that, she was the chief special prosecution and national security unit. Prior to that, she was the special counsel for the director of the FBI. Okay, she was brought in and worked directly. Remember the Boston Marathon attack? She was brought in to work that. Okay. You can go further. You have Jordan, Edelstein, he used to work. He's a CMO, chief marketing officer. I'm talking to him later this month. He used to work for EA Sports, worked behind a project called Madden. We talked about gaming. Okay. You have Jason. He worked for Palantir. You have Karen Chang. Karen Chang she just got hired in the beginning of this year. She's the VP of engineering for Stellar. Okay. She used to work for a company called Anaplan. Okay. She was the software engineering of North America. She was the director of engineering at Salesforce. And prior to that, she was the engineering manager for Netflix. Oh, and by the way, 10 years with Goldman Sachs. So
Sam, to summarize this, your exposition, we for all the Italian supporters, we can have an idea of the talents that are inside the Stellar Development Foundation. This is fundamental in order to evaluate a crypto project. It's more or less something like a football team. Who are the players?
Who are the players?
Go to have a look to their professional or sports background, and you can imagine the potentiality of this development team. Moreover,
and to summarize, so to summarize even further, right, is that so you had from 2015 until about 2019, Stellar was mainly coders. Okay, then in 2019 to 2021 was really building the foundation of the Stellar Foundation. Okay. So what else happened in 2020? The pandemic. Okay. Right. So you got to think about that for, also, and we'll talk about, it didn't stop the momentum. So, exactly. So even though, I think that to kind of summarize, I think that, the fact is that Stellar has performed well. Okay. Over 150% since the SEC filing against Ripple. So it didn't stop there. I get it that it hasn't performed as well as maybe some of these others, but to say that it hasn't performed is hyperbole. I think that if you look at it from the perspective of a lot of people are now starting to understand what Stellar is, right? We're now starting to get a foundation of what's going on, what the potential is. And when that happens, it's not going to be a hype coin. It's not going to be like Doge, where you see hype. Hey, listen, I love everybody with Doge, right? But when you look at Doge, right, what are you reading about? Okay, so you turn the TV on, you hear about the hype, you go and you do your research, and you find out it was a joke, right?
A joke.
When Stellar, I think when Stellar starts to have that mainstream attention, and people do their research, and they say, well, who is the team? What have they done? What are their partnerships? I mean, like I said, everybody make their own decision, but I'm just saying that's my answer to that question. I don't think it has anything to do with Ripple.
Great focus, Sam. This is what the importance to make focus with highlights like this one of tonight, in order to understand the real project, what is behind the website, what is behind a simple price of a digital token. Moreover, let me had my personal point of view in relationship to the price action of XLM. I think this is not a professional advice, but I think we will see lumens skyrocketing in the next years or months when Stellar Network will be widely used for international funds remittance, because this is the key point to view a great success for this crypto project. Institutional investor, banks, anchor company, fintech company must start to use this global infrastructure to make money borderless. And the majority of at the moment are watching us. Don't think about Stellar by this point of view. They only see a digital coin on or a digital asset in coin market cap or something like that. But the real issue is that if in the next years in emerging markets, in emerging countries like for instance Venezuela, Nigeria, Indonesia, Egypt, and many others, in which there are money restrictions due to religion, government, or culture of each country, and there are more or less 2 billion of persons in the world considered unbanked person. This means they cannot use money, they cannot access to general banking services. If there will be a critical mass adoption, not by the retail, but from main institutional actors like fintech companies, like banks, independent banks, or else independent central banks, then you can be sure that the price of Stellar will begin to skyrocket, because as we have said before, lumens is a sort of fuel, like Ether for Ethereum. Without Ether, you can do nothing inside the Ethereum blockchain. And for XLM or lumens is the same. Sam, up to you.
Yeah. One thing that you talked about was, these developing countries, and the unbanked and the underbanked, and how much of a huge impact. And like I said in the beginning, the price is one side of things, but the opportunity for business growth is completely there. One of the companies that Stellar partnered with to help with this is a company by the name of Finclusive, which is run by a gentleman named Amit Sharma. Amit Sharma used to work with the federal Treasury, U.S. Treasury. And he was working there when 9/11 happened, and he was part of the core group that helped to work with AML, KYC. So they partnered with somebody who understands the real hurdles of bringing on the unbanked, the unnecessary weight that was added when all these things were done. So they brought in somebody with direct communication, direct experience to help with them. So it just kind of, I can go further and further back is what I'm saying, as far as the caliber of organizations and individuals that they look at Stellar. They understand what Stellar is looking to do, and they have put their careers in line to help it happen. So
exactly. At this point, I suggest all the participants after the end of this live session to investigate what is Cowries Exchange. Cowries Exchange is a success business case which demonstrate the potentiality of Stellar Network, because it permits to send money, obviously a digital representation of the money, borderless, with a low fee, and in consideration that there are more or less 2 billion of persons that need to send money abroad, but not inside the European Union. Abroad, it means I am in Nigeria, I have to send money in USA, or I have to send money in Egypt or something like, or eventually also the reverse. And this has a lot of cost for first, because the fiat banking system is too expensive. Then, as second, there is a great delay. You have to wait for the credit of the money. And third, generally, it could happen that you can't access easily at the money credited, while using something like Stellar that help you to reproduce, to create a digital representation of, for instance, South African rand, Brazilian real, Nigerian naira. What else?
USD. You got USD. Yeah.
USD. Exactly. I don't know. I want to know at the moment how many persons which are watching us know the real potentiality of USDC, because I don't think many of them know what is USDC. That is the main leading stable coin pegged to US dollars, and is the number 8 digital coin in the world for total capitalization.
Yes. I think that can't be understated enough. So, a lot of people in crypto, they talk about, Bitcoin being the standard, Bitcoin being the end all be all. The reality is that the world's base currency is the US dollar. When I talk to folks, let's say in Africa, when I'm talking, I talk to Uhuru, which is down near South Africa, or I talk to in Nigeria. When they're going from country to country, they have to then go from, let's say, they're the ZAR, and then go to USD, and then settle in the Naira. They right now are unable to go, direct to direct. So US dollar is everywhere. I think that what's important with USDC, it's not just, once again, it's not the token. Okay. It's the team behind the token. Jeremy Allaire has been really at the forefront of getting the regulation and regulation of stable coins moving forward. Okay. One of the main things that slows up Stellar from moving forward is the legal side. Okay. Is all the regulation, because you're going in from country to country, merchant to merchant, banks to banks, in and out. And so to have a stable coin like USDC is important. There was an article, and you guys, I'll send this to you. But the IMF, Tobias Adrian at the IMF Swiss National Bank Conference, Tobias Adrian, he wrote this piece talking about the future of stable coins and digital currencies. It's a great speech. I did a video on it. And I encourage people to read it, because in it, he discusses, as an example, USDC. And so USDC has the ability to get us to the point where you can go from a Stellar wallet directly into a bank account into the US, or to make a purchase, or to use for trade, like you mentioned earlier, for settlements, because businesses, trust me, they want to settle in USD. They want to settle in USD. They want something that's trustworthy. They don't want to worry about fees, gas fees, $70 in gas fees. I think what makes, so USDC's on multiple chains. I think they're on Ethereum as an example. I think what makes Stellar very important is that Stellar has a dependable, consistent fee. There's no question as to what your settlement fee is going to be when you take it out. Okay. With Ethereum, that can change. It could be $70. It could be $150. So could you imagine if you're a bank, okay, or a merchant, and you don't know, you're timing your withdrawal based on what the fee is going to be? With Stellar, that's not a problem. Okay, it's not a problem. You simply go ahead. I want to take it out. I know exactly what my fee is going to be, and that's it. So, I think USDC is going to be huge. I think that the partnership with the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine is something that's going to be huge. So, Stellar Development Foundation announced in their memorandum a cooperation on the development of the virtual assets market in Ukraine, a provision of support to projects related to virtual assets, implementation and regulation of stablecoin circulation in Ukraine, facilitation of the development of digital currencies of the Central Bank of Ukraine. Ukraine is important because they had a bill number 3637 that was about virtual assets. And what they did was that they gave clear definition of cryptocurrencies. They allows you to open bank accounts to carry transactions with cryptocurrencies, gives rights to users of digital assets to go to court in case of disputes, and they legalize the operation of cryptocurrency exchanges in the country. So Ukraine is really the potential of being a really big launching pad for the rest of the world, and to have Stellar position there is big. We had the Para Hub, which is a subsidiary of the Union Bank of the Philippines, which is also one of the largest banks in the country, working with Stellar. You have Wire, which is a fintech application designed for integrating existing anchors and enabling USDC on and off ramps into USD, CAD in Canada, Australia, Euro. There's just so much going on. I mean, we could probably do 3 shows on all the developments happening with Stellar.
Totally agree with you, Sam. In fact, here in the screenshot, we can see Stellar X, which is a decentralized exchange, obviously focused on the use of Stellar. Now, figures and words are enough small, but if you go to the website on Stellar X, you can see that you can trade Stellar against generally fiat money that you never have fought. For instance, peso argentino, Chinese yuan, or else you can buy Chinese yuan in a digital representation and send it to a third party for peanuts, For peanuts, 0.0001 lumen. Find me another cryptocurrency or digital asset that permits this. Find me another one.
And it's only getting started. I mean, you know, I've got a conversation coming up next week about bringing smart contracts to Stellar and liquidity pools to Stellar. You know, and so I think that when that starts to happen, and they're working hard on it, I'm looking forward to learning more next week. But as that happens and as that grows, it's going to create even more opportunities to create more liquidity for the DEX. And it's going to be very, very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we have only a few minutes until the live session ends. But we want to focus also in other famous success stories of crypto project or fintech company using Stellar Network as a main blockchain infrastructure. I don't know how many participants at the moment know Anchorage, for instance. Anchorage is a regulated custodian in USA that permit to segregate Stellar, obviously with all the protection under the law of the state of New York, or else Capilendo for us, which are Italians, so European citizens. Capilendo is a German fintech company, enough important by my point of view, because the first crypto fund launched in Europe at the beginning of this year is a crypto fund issued, managed by a private German bank, which is called, let me tell you, because I don't remember always the name in German language. Aufser. I have difficult also to speak in German.
You sound great, man.
Aufser, which is a German private investment bank. And this bank, this German bank, is the asset manager of what? Of HAIC Digital Asset Fund. But why it is important to know this, the existence of this investment fund, obviously available only in European markets, because it's the first crypto fund in Europe at the moment. It was launched at the beginning of 2021, so this year, in which the assets under management are divided in three pillars. First pillar, 60% Bitcoin. Second pillar, 20% Ethereum. Third pillars, another 20%, what? Stellar. They are investing in Stellar Lumens, and it's a crypto fund, obviously available only for professional investor, and the minimum to invest is 200,000 euros. But it's a great news, because this means that exists also in Europe other asset manager which has a view, a long-term point of view in consideration of the potentiality of lumens. Sam, what can tell you in consideration that we are near to the end of this live session?
I mean, first of all, thank you, and I really appreciate everything that you've been doing for the community and educating. I mean, I would just add on two other things. You have we talked about PayPal, PayPal earlier, but the largest mobile payment service in the States was a company called Zelle. Okay, Zelle worked directly with banks in the United States. It was created and founded by a gentleman by the name of Mike Kennedy. Mike Kennedy was a advisor for Stellar for several years before becoming CEO of a for-profit company called Interstellar. Okay, now Interstellar quickly went into the Southeast Asian market. The Southeast Asian market, he connected with a company backed by the CP Group. Now, we don't have enough time to go through the CP Group, guys, but CP Group is head by a billionaire founder, a family, and they own, we're talking about almost all the Starbucks, all the 7-Elevens. We're talking about in Taiwan.
Investment holding company.
Correct. Taiwan. You're talking about Japan. You're talking about Seven Bank, which is a very popular bank there. You're talking about, I can go on and on. Well, they just recently announced a merger of Interstellar and Velo. Mike Kennedy is now going to be the CEO of Velo Labs. And so that's going to be huge. Another important, I think, announcement is the coming soon. I just tweeted about it earlier. Is the Coinbase? Coinbase is going public. Everyone should know who Coinbase is. They are coming out with a crypto card. A Visa card. Okay, with this Visa card, because they're a crypto company, a digital asset company, they're giving cash back rewards for people that spend. Their cash back rewards is going to be 1% in BTC, 4% in XLM. Okay. So you got to ask yourself, a company that's going public that is going to be saying that they're coming out with a debit card backed by Visa, and they are putting XLM at the forefront of their campaign to attract people. That's going to really help with just educating more and more people about who Stellar is, what they're building. And I think that it's a great story. And I think what I like about Stellar, unlike a lot of other projects out there, is a lot of projects are simply there for trading. That's it. It just serves a trading purpose. If you're looking to make money, it's there. What Stellar is here to do is provide opportunities in developing countries. It provide businesses the opportunity to grow and expand. Bring investing. We're talking about the tokenization of real estate, to tokenization of stocks. We didn't talk about D-Stock, where you can buy fractions of a share on chain of publicly traded companies.
In other words, make money borderless. Make money borderless.
Well, thank you so much.
I totally agree with you, Sam. Unfortunately, we are moving toward the end. It has been really a great professional experience for me, with also a lot of participation and interaction with the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I want to thank the entire Italian community for embracing not only Stellar family community, but myself. I'm really happy to be able to reach all you guys. Please follow me on Twitter. He has it right here at SamConnor1. I definitely communicate with you. Visit if you go to my profile page, I have a link for Stellar Global. We want to continue to build professional ties across the globe, and would love to have an Italian channel where we'll set it up. You can speak in your native language. You can communicate, network, and grow. Eugenio, if you would come in and help with that, that'll be great. We'll love to grow. We'll love to grow that community.
In fact, to conclude, I would really remember how to keep in touch with Sam, and above all, follow all his daily updates by Twitter channel and also YouTube channel, which is like the Twitter channel. So YouTube.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, it's
SamConnor1.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's it's actually youtube.com/C/C Sam Connor. Okay. And so Yeah, I will definitely. I'll send that to you as well, Eugenio, so that way you can share it with the audience. And I'm also looking to launch bring all of my lives to a podcast, a podcast platform. We're looking at a couple of different options, so that way all my lives and all my interviews will also be available on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, all the different resources. So I'll definitely share that with you first as soon as that launches, and you can share that with the community.
Great. Well, just also to remember, there is tomorrow the Blockchain African Congress,
Yes.
which is an online event, so right tomorrow, with the participation of Danielle Dixon, which is the CEO of Stellar Development Foundation, together with many other VIP of crypto economy in the world. So it's really an opportunity for all who want to listen directly Danielle, or else many other point of view in relationship to the development of the business of blockchain in the world. Thank you for the participation to everybody. Sam, I hope that you will be available in the next month for another live session discussing with you about Stellar and analyzing also the price action of Lumens. Thank you so much for your cooperation and appreciated accuracy. Really great to be with you. Take care. Goodbye, everyone, and see you next week for another super special guest. Adios.